Hello and welcome to Simple Savory Vegan. This is Misty, your instructor. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a recipe that was actually requested by a friend of mine for some butternut squash soup. They're not very fond of sweets, so they wanted a soup that would be nice and warm and creamy for the holiday season. So I decided to come up with a recipe that I call Curried Carrot Butternut Squash Soup, or just Curried Carrot Butternut Soup. So let's get started with the ingredients, shall we? For this recipe, you will need 1 baked butternut squash, 4 to 6 carrots, half of them pureed, half of them not, 1/2 of a head of cauliflower, 2 to 3 teaspoons of curry powder to your taste, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and some more for the garnish, salt to taste, pepper if desired, and cashew or pecan cream. So let's get started. So the first step that we're going to need to take is to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which I've already done. Second step is to take our butternut squash and chop it in half, which I didn't get it quite even, so it looks like this. 1/2 is like down here, the other half is up here, but it'll do. Okay, so next step is to get our spoon. Some people do this with a grapefruit spoon, and I totally wish that I had one right now because this stuff is kind of stringy. I might invest in one very soon. Go ahead and put this on our baking sheet and cover it with some aluminum foil, and I'll be right back with you with the next steps. Don't go away. One little thing that I forgot to add about the squash is don't forget to add a little bit of some olive oil. I recently bought one of these olive oil sprayers, or just an oil sprayer, and it's really cool because there's no aerosol and you just pump, and that's how you get the stuff out. And so then you just give it a little squirt and just cover your butternut squash so that it doesn't burn, even though we're gonna keep it covered, but we just want to make sure that it gets nice and you know, and delicious. No brown parts on it because we're going to be turning it into a soup later on, so it's actually going to get pureed, and so we don't want it to burn now, do we? So but yes, don't forget to put a little bit of oil. So whether you use an oil mister or, you know, just do a little drizzle so that it stays nice and moist for you. Okay, thanks. And we're back. I have prepared the butternut squash. So this is what it looks like. It's still pretty hot, but it's nice and squishy with a fork. Ouch. Anyway, so we have that, and I have a pot of water. I filled it about up to here with water. This is, I'm not sure exactly how much is in here, but, you know, you just pretty much wing it. It's soup, you know. What do you put? Water, vegetables, make sure that the consistency is right. You know, it's not that difficult. And of course, salt, pepper to taste, and that's, you know, usually what we do. You know, there's not a cut and dry, you know, like here's how much water you need, because when you're boiling things, you're going to lose some of the liquid, and so depending on if you like it to be more of a stew, you can add less liquid. If you like it more soupy, add more liquid. Of course, you know, this is what we do in the kitchen. We play around and we make things our own. So let me show you how to make the rest of our soup. I'm going to go ahead and put the carrots into our water. It sounds like it's starting to boil here. So chop this up. Stems and all. It's going to be pureed. And so I'll just grab that. And now the next step is going to be to take the butternut squash and just scoop it right in there. And we're back. So I'm going to show you the next step in making the curried carrot butternut squash soup. So I'm going to turn the heat off. This has been on medium for about a good half an hour, just to get everything nice and soft. So I have my immersion blender here, and I'm using this little part of it. So it came with two parts. One part was like a whisk type of attachment, and the other part is this. In one of the previous videos, I made some pumpkin pie soup, and at that time I did not have an immersion blender, and I couldn't stop thinking that I wish that I had one, and because the soup would have been nicer if it would have been more pureed. And so I'm doing this soup properly. At least in my opinion it's proper, because some of the nicest soups are really beautiful because of the fact that they're so smooth and creamy. And so instead of having to spend a lot of time using a masher or making things messy by putting things into a food processor, one of these things is it's quite inexpensive. They're about $20. I'm not advertising, but I'm just saying that they're about $20, and it saves a lot of time. So I'm going to go ahead and puree this, and I'll be back in a moment. So don't go away. And we're back. So this is what it looks like when it's all nice and pureed. So just to show you really briefly, you just turn it on, stick it in there, and then blend until smooth. So now that I've pureed that, I turn the heat back up to medium, and we'll just put this aside, and I'm going to grab my carrots and put those in here so that I can have some chunky bits. I like to have something to kind of crunch on, or something solid, so that I don't feel like I'm eating baby food all the time with my soup. So just a few little bits. I find that using a ladle is actually a bit safer when we're doing this. So, just a little bit. And I'm also going to go ahead and add my pepper and my curry powder. Since there's so much in here, I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of curry powder and about a teaspoon of paprika, or maybe not quite a teaspoon. Maybe I'll just start off with a half. Oops, that's not quite a half. That's about a half, because that's going to give it some nice color to our soup. And then I'll give that a nice little stir here. Okay, so we're back. Our soup is ready, and I'm ready to serve it up and show it to you. So here we go. I put this in a small bowl because sometimes we might want to just have a little bit to go along with our meal. So I think this is a pretty bowl, and this is what that looks like. So it's nice and creamy. There's a few carrot bites in there, and it's very hot because it just got. So let me just show you how beautiful this soup can be. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have our garnishes. Like I said, you can use a little bit more paprika to add just a little bit of color. Just a touch. I like a lot of paprika though. and I like a little bit of black pepper because I like the spices. And then if you want, you can add a little bit more of your Himalayan salt or whatever kind of salt you have. A little dab will do it. And then if you want, you can do cashew milk or the pecan cream. So this is a very small spoon, but that's okay because we don't need too much of it. So let's have a little taste of this, shall we? I always like to serve my soups on a nice plate because the soup can be very hot. So it's always a good idea to go ahead and do that. Okay, if that isn't savory, I don't know what is. This is really, really good. It's nice and warming. And let me just get some more of the pecan milk here. It's nice. I didn't add a whole lot of salt to it. I think mine could use just a little bit more salt, but I like to keep these recipes as basic as possible because some of the people that you might be cooking for might be older or they might have issues with water retention, so you know might want to keep things a little bit low sodium so people can adjust to their own.